Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Alright, just to get it out of the way, the Alchemortis playtest is live for Patreon members right now. So I was actually looking, I posted the patch notes in Discord, so if you want to check out what changed, but I was looking at my done column here. 237 tasks were done since the last playtest, which I believe happened, yeah, it happened like a month ago. So let's just call it a month and a half. So 237 tasks done in a month and a half, with a lot of that being new features and reworked stuff. So yeah, I got a lot done. All that is to say that the game changed quite a bit. So even though we just did a playtest not too long ago, the game is significantly different. So yeah, check it out. First of all, you can head on over to the Steam page. You can wishlist the game. If you want to get access to the playtest right now, you can join on Patreon. Any tier will get you instant access to the playtest. The $3 tier just gets you the week of early access. But if you subscribe for at least 1 month at $15, not only will you get access to this playtest, but I'm going to send you a key for the full game at launch. So this is a pre-purchase essentially. And your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. Now, I want to remind you also that, I want to remind you also that you do not have to pay to try the Alchemortis playtest. Everyone will get a guaranteed chance to play after the Patreon early access period. So, yeah, you don't need to pay. Just keep an eye on the Discord. You can sign up for the email list and everything so that you're notified when that playtest goes live for everyone. And then finally, you can support me by purchasing my Udemy courses. These teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine, so please consider doing that. All right, so we are going to go into some controller support here. I was spending last night looking into controller support, and by looking into it, I mean I actually started implementing it. So the big thing is I want Alchemortis to be very nice and supported on Steam Deck at launch. But of course, if you're one of those people that likes to play games primarily with a controller, then this is going to be good. Okay, I got to kick the cat out. Goodbye, cat. All right. But yeah, so I want to get controller support feeling very nice. This is going to be somewhat difficult because there's just a lot of UI in the game. So I have a plan for how to do that, and I may go into that actually right now. But first, let me say hello to everybody, and then we'll take a look at it. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. WBJ Penn, welcome, welcome. Hello, Wooius, welcome back. Good to see you. Ever-varying life, welcome. Are we finally getting the day drinking? And oh no, I don't think we're getting that. No. Welcome, Ungi Bungi. Mel's, good to see you. Zero, hello, welcome. I joined at just the right time. Awesome. Welcome, Executive. Good morning, Emerson. Welcome. Fuzuli, hello, welcome. Do you encrypt the demos and full versions of your games when exporting? No, I don't. No, I don't. Yeah, I haven't really looked into that. I don't know if it's that helpful either, but I don't have a controller. Can you ship the game with one, please? Anyway, let me get my controller plugged in here. So I'm trying to be a little bit clever about this controller input system. I don't want to have to update a bunch of my scenes if I don't have to, right? There's kind of like a straightforward way to implement controller support, which is basically to go into every scene and configure everything just right so that it works with the controller. But I'm trying to do a more generic, like, top-down approach, which will hopefully get everything to work. But I'm a little bit worried about it because it may not be that simple. But anyway, let me just go ahead and go into here. So one of the big problems with controller support is that it has to work based off of like grabbing the focus of control nodes. And one of the problems I was running into last night, oops, we have an issue. Why is there an issue? Oh, right. I accidentally overwrote my project, Godot. 1 second. I gotta put this input device manager back in. All right. That's unfortunate. Shoot. So I rebased this branch and I took the project Godot out of master and that removed the auto load. But anyway, so one of the problems with controller support is that it needs to work off of focus, but I was ending up with a situation where when I got a controller input, if there's nothing focused automatically, then Godot doesn't know how to grab the focus. Like there's no method in Godot to like get the first applicable focus item or anything like that. So I spent a good chunk of time last night just figuring out like how to grab initial focus. So right now I'm using the controller and I can select these elements here. But even just getting that to work was a pretty substantial effort because basically, so I've got this input device manager. This input device manager is an auto load that listens for all input events, and it will basically just swap the input mode depending on what the last pressed event was. So if we received a mouse motion or mouse button event, it changes to the mouse and then emits a signal if it actually did a change. Obviously, if we're already using a mouse, we don't want to emit that signal, and it does the same for controller input. All right, so then when controller input changes, so on device changed here, this is just connecting to a self signal. So I'm connecting to the device change signal on myself here. When this device changes, if it's a controller, I'm calling this propagate focus next, and that's designed to fix that problem of grabbing the first available focusable item. Otherwise, we're releasing the focus for mouse mode. So propagate focus next basically just looks at every single descendant of main and it finds the first control that can grab focus. So yeah, that's a little bit iffy because this could potentially be like thousands of nodes, which is not necessarily a problem for switching to controller the first time. I mean, I measured it here. It's only taking 0.754 milliseconds, so less than 1 millisecond, right? So that's fine. The part where this is going to be a little bit tricky is when I get to this character select screen. So if I do start, so if I go to my controller, so I'm on this character select screen. I don't know if I can explain this very well, but the default like directional focus doesn't make any sense. So for example, if I'm on the Necromancer and I press oh, you can't see it. It's cutting it out. No. If I press the right D-pad button, and then it switched to my mouse. If I press the right D-pad button from the Necromancer, it goes up to that difficulty option. Instead of, I mean, if I press right, I would expect it probably to go to the Priestess or something. So it's just not very predictable at all what it's gonna do. And I can't go to the Courier, the Potion Man from any of these options here. Like, it's just not possible. I can't get there. So the only way to get to the courier is to go around, and I can't even press left here. If I press left on the D-pad button from Brittlebones here, it goes to the Lich for some reason. So it's just not intuitive at all. And so the problem here is I need to figure out what to do. And of course, I can change the focus neighbors on the control elements. So that is an option. The problem is if I use that pattern, I'm going to have to do that basically everywhere. And then the other problem too is that I have a lot of dynamically added UI elements. So one challenge too is going to be, you know, when I go into the game, I can hover over my artifacts, right? And so these are going to be dynamically added elements, but then the map too, this is going to be a pretty substantial issue. I need to figure out how to get controller input to target the proper nodes that you would want to visit. And that is not going to be easy to set up with like focus neighbors. So I'm trying to like think about how to come up with a nice like generic way of grabbing the focus that you want to grab in an intuitive way. And then I can apply very specific, like I want to be in a situation where the generic controller functionality case works for 90% of the game. And then where I need to specify how the controller focus works, I can do that in a very targeted way. What I don't want to end up having to do is like specifying how the controller works for every single UI element in the game, right? That's just going to be completely unwieldy, and that's going to take a lot of time and effort. So trying to come up with a top-down generic approach to selecting these things first, and then it can override. And of course, there's another challenge too of like, how do I actually navigate the things on the boards and everything? So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll figure it out. Wow, another playtest. What year is it? Hello, Johan. It's 2026. You're not live on Twitch. Uh-oh. Dang it. I forgot to click the start Twitch button. Game too hard? Is it actually too hard? If it's actually too hard, I can fix it. But I guess we'll wait for more feedback. But anyway, yeah. Thank you, Snup Bill, for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciated with the message, Yummers. Appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Yummers, focus controls are messy. Yeah, I'm not... I don't know, it feels like the controller UI navigation could be better in Godot by default, but I don't know. Hello, Rookie Tookie, welcome. I'd like to do another live stream of the new playtest next week. Could you provide high-res versions of the new Alchemortis logo and the characters for the thumbnail again? Let me see if I can do that, because I actually have. Yeah, let me get back to you on that one. I'm just gonna write this down. Okay, I'll get back to you on that. If you think about it a bit, controllers are a bit tricky for drag and drop games. Yeah, I mean, I think the big challenge is not even going to be the drag and drop. The big challenge is going to be So first of all, when this screen is open, the focus needs to jump to something on this screen and not in the map background. And then the reverse is true. If this screen closes, that needs to jump back to some kind of focus down here. The recenter camera button is going to be an element that can be focused as well. So like, I don't know. But then it's like, how do I... Obviously, I probably will want a hotkey or like a dedicated button on the controller to open the inventory. But like once I actually get like the mouse focusing or the cursor focusing and everything on here, I think drag and drop is just gonna be as simple as like press A to grab the item and then you can move it around. Like just imagine like this is snapping like as you move it, you know, like this. And then you can like maybe press the bumper buttons to shift it over to different boards. And then you press A to drop it, right? So like, I think that's gonna be okay. It's just a matter of like getting the actual focus to be grabbed appropriately. That's the big problem. Dynamic assign focus neighbors based on screen space. Yeah, I might have to do that. The other thing too is like, that's why I'm trying to think like, can I introduce an algorithm that just like overrides the default like Godot next neighbor behavior? I haven't decided yet. I could chat today. Yeah, sorry about the Twitch delay. It's definitely much more difficult now and you can't run whatever item you want. You need a strong synergistic board. Yeah, I mean, if it's too difficult, I can definitely tweak it. But yeah, so just for context around the difficulty changes, like again, everything in the game needs to serve doing alchemy, and everything in the game needs to serve pressuring players into creating synergies. Like I've said this for a while now, like you should not be able to win the game without creating meaningful synergies in your build. And so the increased difficulty is part of that. So the game is increased in difficulty in two ways. One, the enemy board synergies are stronger. And then two, your board space upgrades are a lot more infrequent. So you're dealing with a space constraint as well as you're dealing with tougher enemies. So the goal of that is to kind of pressure players into making the most out of their limited board space. And the way that you're going to do that is through alchemy, right? So, but if it's too difficult, you know, we can definitely tweak it. I'm so excited for the playtest. I'm going to get it right now. Awesome. Thank you, Zero. Doc Rock Min, welcome. Hopefully I have a chance to play tonight. Excited to try her out. Nice. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh yeah, you're welcome, Mobius. Press Y to move an inventory, press X to deploy, press B to sell. Just snaps the card to the right board. Yeah. The other problem that's going to make this hard is like, I don't really play games with controllers. Like the only games I use a controller on are like the Souls games. I'm going to figure out what all of these errors are as well. So I'm sure a lot of this difficulty is just going to come from me not being familiar with how how games work with controllers typically. I just heard like a massive jet go over my house. Like that was really loud. I don't know what's going on. Oh, maybe, I guess it's Memorial Day. Maybe there's like is there an air show or something? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. So before I get into like figuring out the focus mode, there is one big problem that I need to fix, or that I need to implement here. Hello, O Pacheco Studio, welcome. They generally just rely on buttons and button combos in place of moving the mouse. Gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll try to do it. This is going to be a very significant effort, but one step at a time. So for the cursor, so I'm not gonna do like a, one of these situations where the controller just moves the mouse cursor around. I'm not gonna do that. But what I do want to do is I want the cursor to still be present in the game, and it will just like snap to whatever you're hovering over. I'm trying to think of what the best way to do that is. Do I even call this anywhere? Oh yeah, okay. So I'm thinking what I can do is I can do, let's do get viewport dot GUI focus changed plus equals on GUI focus changed. Private void on GUI focus changed. Control. Okay, so let's store private control focused control. So we'll just get a reference to the focused control here. Okay, and then we'll do in here, if input device manager dot is controller active, we're going to do one set of logic for if the controller is active, and then another set of logic for if the controller is not active. So if the controller is active, let's do private const float controller smoothing is equal to, let's just do something like 20. We are going to set root.global position is equal to I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll just do focus control plus focus control dot size divided by 2. So if input device manager is controller active and is instance valid focused control, var target position is equal to this. Root.global position is equal to root.global position dot lerp. To target position 1f minus mathf dot xp negative controller smoothing times float delta. All right, let's see if that does anything. I don't think that grabbing the control's global position is going to work. I think I need to convert the global position to like a screen position. But anyway, so this is kind of working the way that I wanted it to, right? Like, I want the cursor to still be there, but it just like follows the follows the controller focus. I don't know if I want it to be placed right in the middle of everything though. So I may need to offer some kind of ability to offset that. Or I can just kind of like put it in like the bottom right. So I could take focus control dot size times like 0.9f, and that would put it in the bottom right corner of the control, which should be like mostly out of the way in most cases. Now, one problem here is that it's not grabbing the continue button either, which is kind of annoying. So that looks a little bit nicer, I guess. It's a little bit more out of the way. Okay. So that seems decent, I suppose. Track controller label. I don't know what that means. Track controller label. Oh, are you talking about for like the controller offset? Okay, so that's working pretty well. To place the mouse next to the label like quit. Yeah. So the problem is like this clickable control is the element that I use for like almost everything that's clickable except for like UI buttons. And it's not guaranteed that there's always going to be a label associated with it. So yeah, just something I have to think about, I guess. Well, we're just going to solve one problem at a time until we get to a good spot. Okay. Let me just do something really quick. To control losing focus doesn't cause the signal to be emitted. So, right, there's no signal to know when focus has been released. That's unfortunate. What I can do in here... I don't know if it's worth solving this problem. So there's a problem here, which is that... First of all, I don't understand why I can't focus this button. It's somehow not getting... Somehow not getting this continue button here. Do I not have the proper focus mode? Focus mode is all. So it's not grabbing this button as a focus element here. It's not grabbing any element as a focus. Let's see. This control can grab focus only when screen reader is active. Use set focus mode to allow control to get focus. See, why is that? This control can grab focus only when screen reader is active. Why is that? Focus. What control even is this? Okay, so there's a problem in here. So this propagate focus next, this basically goes through all of the descendants of my main and it looks for control. Oh, I want this to be focus mode all. Oh wait, let's just change this. We're gonna target anything that has focus mode all. It might be grabbing it might be grabbing a control node that is slightly differently configured for screen readers or something. Hello, Junie, welcome. Okay, there we go. All right, so one obvious problem right now that I have is what? I can't actually press the accept button. So let's do this. Wait, how do I actually get buttons to be pressed by the controller? Oh, do I just need to add this to UI accept? Is that what I need to do? Is that going to work? Okay, so that works. UI accept does not work on. Okay. All right. I'm not going to use UI accept. I'm not going to use any of these default. Not going to use any of these default Godot actions. Though, because one of the problems is that if I want to support key rebinding, it's going to be a complete nightmare to have to like try to edit and restore the default Godot state things. I'm just going to add click left as a joypad button 0. Okay, so click left is joypad button 0. I'm going to go to my custom button here. And we are going to public override void GUI input. This is going to be a little bit messy, I think, but that's okay. If evt.isAction let me think. Hello, Mark. Welcome back. Good to see you. Action mode is button release. So, I mean, if I wanted to be sophisticated, I would detect that, but action mode button release is the default. So this would be button release, click, action click left, emit signal pressed. Okay. Let's see if that works. How come adding floor, wall, and ceiling textures caused my first person game to drop to 15 FPS? That makes me sad. I have no idea. Sorry to say. I'm not familiar with 3D at all. But welcome back to the stream. Okay, so there's that. All right, so we're kind of dealing with a problem here, which is that I can't re-grab the focus on these animations. I have to move the mouse first and then do this. But, oh gosh, oh no. Oh, it's still grabbing the focus of the elements behind, right? Yeah, so this is gonna be, oh boy, this is gonna be a nightmare. I mean, I think the easy fix is just to disable all these buttons when an unlock screen is brought up or when a setting screen is brought up. Basically, I just need to control the focus, so I need to control what's able to be focused and what's not able to be focused. So I've been able to get away with like not doing that because like there's an invisible margin container that fills the whole screen that intercepts mouse events. And so it's literally impossible for me to click on anything behind the screen. But that's not how focus mode works. Focus mode, it's not a mouse event, so like there's no mouse events to intercept. So I just need to be more diligent about setting the focus mode properly for things that shouldn't be clickable, and that should hopefully work. So there's a couple of things that I think I need to do. So one, I need to be able to grab focus when something becomes unfocused. So if I click this continue button, I can't grab focus again. And that's because the next focus is only grabbed if I've detected a change to controller. It does not do it if I am using a controller, but I don't have a focusable element. So let's just do that first. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow to implement this, but I think I need to think about this very carefully, because if I just go gung-ho and just like start building stuff, it may not end up being a good implementation. So propagate focus next. So the problem is on GUI focus changed. This actually doesn't do anything. So actually I could do, let's do private static control last focused control. Okay, last focused control is equal to node. This is a control. So I think what I can do in here is I can actually do is controller active, if not was controller active, device changed. Okay, else if not is instance valid, last focus control, we'll do propagate focus next. All right, let's see if that works. Good morning, RN Genesis. Welcome, welcome. No 3D, then you have to make that 2.5D game you mentioned? Yeah. Oh no, controller support may or may not be a massive pain. That's true. There's got to be some kind of Godot focus pool you can manage, I think. No, there is no, from my research, there is no way to ask Godot what are all of the focusable controls in the scene. Like, there's just no way to do that, which kind of sucks. Like, I feel like the focus stuff is just like, it could be implemented a lot better. Because, like, the other thing that is kind of annoying is I don't have a way of, like, globally knowing when focus is lost. Like, I don't have a way of, like, connecting to a signal in Godot that will tell me when 0 elements become focused, right? Which is kind of annoying. I can know when the focus is released for a particular element, and I can know when a focus is grabbed by an element in a very generic, like high-level way, like anytime focus is grabbed by an element anywhere, Godot will emit a signal for that. But it does not emit a signal globally for when all focus has been released, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, this seems to be working. Oh, maybe it's not working. Anyway, I should be able to click these guys. This is going to be a nightmare. How hard was it to learn the pixel art? I started yesterday and oh boy, am I bad. Yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult. Pixel art is very difficult. But you just keep practicing it and you'll get better. That's the good news. I'm actually kind of confused. Why am I doing this? Oh, I see. I was curious why this was working. It's because I am using the click actions here. Okay. I actually don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm connecting to my own signal. I hope this doesn't break anything. Good morning, Ninja Link. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Krasner. Where's the link, good sir? The playtest is only live right now for Patreon members. So I couldn't fit that in the title. I apologize, but you can subscribe at Patreon if you want to access the playtest. The link for that is in the description below. Or I will be opening the playtest publicly in approximately a week. So if you want to just follow the Discord, I will obviously announce when the playtest is available for everyone publicly. And then for context, you'll be able to join the playtest from the Steam page. So if you just want to bookmark the Alchemortis Steam page. But like I said, I'll be putting announcements when the playtest is publicly available. And, you know, it'll contain all the links and everything. But I'll be sure to... Is there a way to configure like the stream commands through Twitch? I don't know how Twitch works very well. But thank you for your interest. You just gotta wait a little bit for the public playtest. Okay, so we are getting there, I think. I have no way of clicking back on this screen, so that's gonna be a little bit of an issue. The good news, though, is that I can do all this stuff. None of those things. Oh, did I not disable... Wait a minute. Did I not disable the difficulty selection when start is clicked? Oh, I might need to fix that, actually. Oh, I can select all the difficulty options. Okay. All right, we're gonna need to take a detour. I need to fix that on the playtest version of the build. So let me do that. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll just make a note. I'll do it after the stream. Also, let's do extend road in character select. All right. Oh, this is done. That's okay. I'm very excited to try it out. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. As far as I'm aware, stream commands are usually done via bot. At least they were when I last streamed. Yeah, that's what I thought too. But I don't know. I guess it's always possible. Like a lot of times these platforms will just like add native support for the things that are like commonly done. So you don't need a bot to do them. But I don't know. Maybe that's not the case here. Yeah, so this is a little bit unfortunate. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Anyway. Oh boy, this is annoying. Okay, so now we're like, yeah, now we're kind of like in a weird spot here. So this whole UI for how the controller works here, that's going to be a whole different beast. I figure let's just get the controller support working well for like the menus and stuff. And then we can figure out what to do from there. So one thing that I may want to do is also hide the mouse cursor if there's no currently focused element. Let's put this here. I'm gonna need to like simplify this check, I think. If the focus control is valid, we'll do this lerping. Else, we're gonna do cursor. We'll just say root. All right, let's see. If we get a bot, can we name him Bot Belly? Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to pop in and say hi. I'll have to catch the VOD later. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for joining, Ninja Link. I'm gonna try something. Unfortunately, I didn't start the Twitch stream until a little bit late, so... Oh, what? This is not working now. Huh? Did I break something? Nathan Hode's input helper plugin is a good reference for detecting input devices. Controller inputs in the control focus system is very irritating to get working correctly. Does that plugin help with like getting focus? The big problem with the controller stuff is the focus. Getting all the focus elements. Detecting the devices is relatively straightforward. Like, that part was easy to do. The part that's hard is like figuring out which focusable elements are in context and then like focusing those. No, it doesn't help. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe that input helper would be useful if I was expecting multiple devices, but I just need to detect between mouse and controller. And that part is easy, but I don't know why this broke suddenly. Why can I no longer focus that continue button? I can't. Wait, did something happen? Oh, maybe my controller just lost input somehow. Oh, that's not good. Anyway. I don't know what's wrong with this controller. Sometimes it just loses input. Okay. Well, I'm making some progress. The hard part is like, I think, again, the challenge here is not, the challenge is not even necessarily like setting up all the focus neighbors and everything and like getting everything to be blocked or not focusable at the right times. The thing that's the hard part is like architecting the input system in a way that minimally changes everything that exists and is reusable and extensible for all the different situations where I would need to handle specific input. So like, for example, I go to start here, and when I click on a character, I want this to snap immediately to start, right? Like after I click a character, this should snap immediately to start. And so I'm assuming that I'm going to need other situations like that. Like I'm going to need almost like a focus priority that basically says, when focus is lost, find anything that has a configured focus priority and then like choose the one with the highest priority, right? And I want to make that very like plug and play, where ideally what I would only need to do is like all the framework would be in place, and then I would just need to go into the scene and, for example, just like if I go to my character select, ideally what I would do is I would just say, okay, this start button here, I'm going to, add my focus priority component here. And then, grab all the focus priorities that are in the scene, order them by their priority number, and then try to grab them one at a time. So try to grab the one with the highest priority. If it can't be grabbed for whatever reason, because it's not available right now or whatever, go to the next one, and then so on and so forth down the list. Exhaust all of the focus priorities first, and then if still no focus was found, we fall back to like a next best guess focus element, right? Like, so the real challenge is like, how do I make grabbing the focus intuitive? How do I ensure that focus is always grabbed when you've connected a controller, even when things are going, they're changing their focus modes dynamically based on what's happening on screen? And how do I make that behavior configurable in a way that's not going to spaghettify my code? How do I make that whole system configurable in a very like procedural way, meaning like there's a very distinct like order of operations that creates a lot of predictability in the system, right? That's what's like hard about this. Because I could just start going in and writing code like, oh, if this is not true, here's a whole chain of conditions, grab this one and whatever. But I want to systematize it, right? I want to make it like almost like an input framework that sits on top of the game that just handles everything in a very graceful and predictable manner. Because otherwise, I'm going to go absolutely bonkers dealing with the alternative, right? So a lot of this problem is just figuring out like, what do I actually need, and what is the proper approach to support all the use cases that I have. That's the part that needs careful thought. Then, of course, handling all the board stuff as well. I've also noticed if you have a Bluetooth controller, if you try to connect it with the game, embed is loading, it won't detect input. Oh, interesting. No, my controller's wired, so I feel like I would end up adding a UI manager and then have all of my UI elements registered to it so I could manage my own pool. Yeah, I mean, that is an option. The other tricky part of this too is like I have to manage the context, right? So like there will be a pool of items that have a certain context. So if I go into the map, for example, all these items are focusable items, right? Like all these elements are focusable. And so I need to be able to navigate this very naturally, right? But as soon as I press the button that opens the inventory, now all of this stuff has focus priority. And that may be as simple as just like disabling these in the background when this screen comes up. But again, like it's a very straightforward thing to just do that in a couple lines of code. But the problem is like I want to systematize it so that I can define like these focus contexts. And then hopefully like the end goal that I want to achieve is like the default controller behavior is very sensible and very predictable. But in the cases where I've got a little bit more complex of a setup, I want it to be such that I can configure that complexity relatively easily by just adding a couple of components to the relevant scenes. So the idea is I create a framework with an API that ideally doesn't change much. And then the scenes that need to define more complex behavior will just pull in the components and like interact with that API in whatever way that they need to. What I don't want to be doing is injecting a bunch of very specific controller handling input code into like basically every scene across the game. Like that's going to be a disaster if I start doing that. Because it's going to be extremely brittle. Things are going to start to break if I change certain things, or if I create a new scene and then I forget to write all the specific controller handling code for it. So yeah, honestly, I don't really have any good ideas for where to go next with this. I think I need to chew on this a little bit more. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to switch back to master and we're going to work on something else. Because this is one of those problems where like I'm not going to be able to think about this very deeply on stream. So I'll have to spend probably this afternoon, this week, fleshing out that system a little bit more. But we have plenty to work on, so we'll do something else. Grab focus. Yeah, grab focus is a central part of it for sure. But you need to know which elements you can actually grab focus on. That's the problem. Like one of the challenges that I've already run into is like Godot doesn't allow you to get like a list of all the focusable elements that are currently in the tree. So if you don't have a list of all the focusable elements and you're not currently focused on an element, then grab focus doesn't help you in that situation, right? Like you need to find at least one element that can receive focus so that you can grab the focus on it. Just spawn a starting point next bottom of the character when the character's selected. Yeah, I mean, there's other ways around it too. Like I'm sure the UI will have to change a little bit. This is where I think swapping between controller and mouse and keyboard input can get irritating. If the player swaps between them while you're transitioning, you can easily lose correct focus. Yeah, and that's okay. Like I've already fixed that problem. So I just switched branches, but that propagate next focus call is called whenever I get a controller input, but there's no element focused, right? So what that does is that essentially just gets the entire scene tree and it finds the first control that is focusable and it grabs that focus. So that's fine. Like that's like the fail safe, right? The fail safe for if there is no currently grab focus because I was just using mouse and keyboard input, as soon as I press a controller button, just find something and grab the focus. Like that's fine. And then once the focus is grabbed, then the rest of the system takes over and decides like when you're pressing the directional buttons or using the analog stick, like which focus to actually highlight in corresponding to the direction that you pressed, right? Make a really small state machine of pick character to play stage. See, that's the kind of complexity that I don't want to introduce, right? Why is this so difficult? It's just I think it's just a difficult problem. Do you separate input states from your controller system scripts? No. The whole system is unified. Like ideally the code that drives the UI should not care whether you're using a controller or a mouse. Like the only thing that my clickables should care about is like, did a click action happen on me? That's it. That's the only thing it should care about. Like if I'm in a situation where now I'm introducing a bunch of specific logic based on like what the current input state is, and I have to do that across many scenes, like that's just going to become a mess, right? So the input layer needs to be exactly that. It needs to be a layer. It just needs to be something that flows down to the rest of the system very organically, and not something that I have to reach up into in every scene to like figure out what to do. Sounds like a good idea for a plugin. Yeah, the other problem too is like, I don't know how genericizable this would be. I think a lot of times like it depends on how your game is set up. But anyway, I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will work on some of these other things. So yeah, maybe I'll fix these things because those are kind of bothering me, but I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Don't convince me to make another plugin. So again, I just want to remind everyone that the playtest is available. This is playtest number 5. Can you believe it? So the playtest is available now from Patreon members. So if you are a Patreon member, you should have gotten a key to your inbox for the playtest. And if you're not a Patreon member, you have a couple of options if you want to play the playtest. Sorry, one second. I'm just getting my controller unplugged. You have a couple of options if you want to try the playtest. You can subscribe at either tier that will give you instant access to the playtest, or you can wait for about a week, at which point the playtest will become publicly available for everyone to try. So again, I do want to stress that you do not have to pay anything to get access to the playtest, but if you want to support the development of Alchemortis and you want to get early access to the playtest, Patreon is the way to do it. Like I said, I'm self-funded, so every little bit helps, and yeah, you're helping me pay the bills while I finish Alchemortis, so I appreciate that. Anyway, in my gameplay scripts, I usually strip the possible inputs into a separate struct, on which I then upon act in the update function. I think for complex menus, I would bypass the built-in system too. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's probably the way to go. I mean, I think, like, there are multiple, like, so this would be like the second system where I'm kind of like bypassing Godot's built-in way of doing it. So Godot has a translation. So Godot has a translation system, and it has a way to generate like your translation templates, but that was not useful at all for me and my translation needs. So I basically like wrote my whole own translation handling system, which is understandable because, like, you know, translation is a complex thing. You can't expect Godot's out of the box functionality to like support every use case. So I'm using the translation APIs to like translate the strings and everything. But as far as like getting the translation templates, which is basically like getting a list of all the English strings in the game, I had to write my own system for that. And I think, you know, for controller input, probably going to be a lot of the same deal. It's like use the focus APIs that are available for control nodes, but otherwise, like, I will be creating all my own functionality for like determining like what the next focus neighbor is, and like how to grab focus, and how, like, which should take priority. Like, that's going to be a system that I have to write on top of it, which is fine. I mean, it's like, you know, it's and again, it's one of those things where it probably would have been easier had I built the game with controller support in mind from the beginning, but there are negatives to doing that in that way as well. All right, so difficulty options can still be clicked after clicking start and character select. Let's fix those. Oh, you know what? I need to create... I'm going to create a playtest 5 branch. Okay, I need to create a playtest 5 branch, and then I'll merge... merge everything back into master. Okay. All right. So difficulty options. Here we go. I think it's as simple as just doing this. Yeah. I think that's a one-liner. Early videos for Patreon. Do you make videos too? Yes. Anytime I release a video, it goes to Patreon first. I also have a bunch of Patreon exclusive content, which I need to do some more of that this week as well. But I think the main thing for Patreon is like access to the Alchemortis playtests, and also that sponsor tier includes a key for the full game. So I think I'm burning myself focusing on the art first instead of the game first. Maybe... Is my game audio playing? 1 second. No. Okay, those are disabled now. Perfect. Okay, so that's done. Extend road and character select. Do I need to extend the road or should I just move it? Like if I just do this, is that going to look all right? Okay, that works. We'll call that good. All right, 2 one-liner changes. Playtest notice button is not disabled after clicking. Now, wait a minute. Why is that not working? It was easier to make the game first than the art. It will be a nightmare to replace everything later on. Well, I like focusing on the art. I think getting like your art style down and making the game look good early on can actually be a pretty good idea. I don't know why this didn't work. Maybe it's just a controller issue. Anyway. I wonder if disabling a button doesn't change its focus. Maybe it doesn't change the focus mode if it's disabled. Oh, you know what? Maybe I need to do... Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. It might just be a controller-specific thing, but anyway. I'll just commit this anyway. The benefit of separate struct for inputs is that it's a very clear boundary. You can write all the dirty code with edge cases behind it, and gameplay code itself doesn't have to know about it. Makes demo recording trivial too. Yeah, that's a good idea. Alrighty. I'm just reading my backlog here. All right, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'm just going to to show you all what's all changed in the playtest, I'm just going to go ahead and play the game for a little bit. This will also give me another opportunity to just do another quick test of the game and make sure like the playtest build is good. I mean, I've obviously tested it a bunch, but you never know when you're going to notice something new. Hello, R3 Zop. Should I start game dev or is it dead? And how hard is it to get into Big Game Corps? Should you start game dev? I mean, that's up to you. Like, do you want to do game dev? If so, then yeah, you should start it. It's a fun, at the very least, it's a fun hobby, even if nothing comes of it beyond that. But how hard is it to get in Big Game Corps? My impression is that it's very, very hard to do that, but I have no direct experience with that, so I'm not the best authority on that. Is game dev dead? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think game dev is just changing a lot. I think there's a growing impression, at least from what I've seen, that small teams and indie devs are like really well positioned for this moment in time because they have low operating costs and they also can make smaller games. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not really a professional game developer. Like, I haven't sold that many copies of my games, so I don't know. Like, I know everything about the game dev industry that you do, probably. So it's hard for me to say for sure, like, what the state of everything is, what the state of the industry is, etc. But if you do get into game dev, I mean, the thing you should be aware of is that it's just hard from top to bottom. Like, there's nothing easy about game development. Writing the gameplay code is not easy. Doing the art is not easy. I keep messing this up. I got to turn off all these debug options. Doing the art is not easy. Writing the gameplay code is not easy. Doing the sound design is not easy. The marketing is not easy. Making the game fun is not easy. So I would say just like make sure you go in with that frame of mind, at least, that it's going to be very, very difficult. Every aspect of game development is going to be very difficult. And as long as you have the right frame of mind, you should be all right. Like, I've said this before, but like, what I think you should be prepared to do is, like, if you're really serious about game development and you want to try your hand at like selling some games on Steam, you should be prepared for that to be a multi-year effort. Like, there's not really going to be a situation where you start game dev and then 6 months later you make $100,000 on Steam. Like, that happens in some very specific cases, but that's by far not the normal case, right? So, I mean, I've been doing game development since I was 14, and like, the first game that did remotely well was Gunforged, and that released like what, 2 or 3 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago, February of 2024. Was that February 2024? So like, I'm 31 now. I've been doing game dev since I was 14, and it wasn't until 2 years ago that I actually sold a meaningful amount of copies of a game on Steam, right? So, but at the same time, like, I think there are people with skills beyond mine who could probably do that in a much quicker timeline. But let's take this extra enchant. My go-to is to say anybody can code, but coding is not for everybody. Same concept applies to game development, right? It's the Ratatouille mindset, right? Anyone can cook, but that doesn't mean that anyone is going to become an amazing cook, right? Am I going to win? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, let's see what we can get here. Ooh, that's a good slime. Our items cannot gain corrupted abilities. Let's take the slime, And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to alchemize this with a skeleton. 28% chance to gain a corrupted ability. Let's just throw everything in the board so we can nullify that corrupted chance. Ooh, yes, perfect. That's great. That's a 5.3 second cooldown. This deals 1 damage and confuses one random enemy item. I think I probably want to put 2 skeletons on the board rather than the strange man. Let's go grab a health upgrade now. I'm making a 2D shooter game inspired by 20 Minutes Till Dawn. I've made the whole physics works exactly as the game, just the art part, but I think AI will do that too. And since Unity has announced Unity AI, which just makes games using prompts, what are your thoughts on that? My thoughts on AI, I mean, look, my thoughts on AI don't really matter. What matters is what is your potential customers' thoughts on AI, and my sense right now is that people absolutely do not like games that have any AI generated content whatsoever. So maybe that will change in the future, I don't know. But I think it's very risky. If you're trying to make some money using games, I think it's risky to use AI to make like at least the visual presentation, right? If you're using AI art assets and AI sounds, AI voice acting, whatever, I think most people are going to be turned off by that. So yeah, I think that's just how it is. I'm a complete beginner now. I'm 20 and pursuing computer science, so I'm just confused choosing my path. I do enjoy game dev, but I've made it through JS vibe coding. Well, I mean, you could do it all, right? Like, there's no, you know, I think it's this myth, like you have to choose a life path and then that's it. Your life is over, right? Like you're stuck with that. It's like, well, you can go down your career path for computer science, get a full-time job, pay the bills, do your game dev on the side. When you get to a point where you're confident enough, like let's say that you do game dev as a hobby and then you release a game on Steam and it sells 500 copies, you might go, okay, this might actually work, right? And then you can reevaluate at that point. Like any decisions you make now are not permanent, right? And there's ways to strategize around what is the best path forward. Like for me, like I worked full-time from 2017 onward. I was employed full-time for everything except for like 3 weeks in that whatever 7-year period, 8-year period. And it wasn't until recently that I just started trying to do game dev full time. And again, like I'm not commercially successful enough where I can just do this indefinitely. Like the success or non-success of Alchemortis is going to determine what I do next, you know? So yeah, I don't think you need to pigeonhole yourself into like, oh, I have to make a choice now. Like just make the choice that's going to pay the bills in the short term, and then you can still engage with game development on the weekends and on the side and everything. Like you can do it all, especially being 20. I mean, I'm guessing that you have basically no obligations. Like you don't have a family to feed. No one's relying on you for anything. So it's like you're in the position where you can basically just like do whatever you want. You know, like you can just get enough money to pay your bills, pay some rent, buy groceries, buy a pack of Mountain Dew. Then you can spend your free time doing your game development, right? I've been playtesting for a bit and it's so fun. I made this devastating poison build. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. So the new poison rework feels good. Zero, I don't know if you played the previous playtest, but poison is one of the main things that I reworked. I don't like any of these options. I mean, I guess I might, but no, you know what? I'm just going to take the blood. I'll just add the blood. I like 20 Minutes Till Dawn, but I'm waiting for the next game from that dev, but he's been silent for a while now. My rule of thumb is that the person can see it with a human sense, then not to use AI to make it. What do I want to do here? Let's go down and we'll put this guy back on the board. Oh, we could put this skeleton back on the board as well. Okay, here we go. I love the limited color palette you use for the game. Will you add brightness, contrast sliders to tweak the visibility? Yes, yeah. I might even add like palette swap options, so I might choose a couple of color palettes that look okay in the game. And then brightness and contrast sliders, yeah, for sure. I think, so I've made a lot of improvements just from like the art style to brighten the game up quite substantially. But there are still, there's still the odd person here and there which says, oh, the game is too dark. And that may just be like, that may be up to their device. Like if they're playing on a laptop and maybe it doesn't have a really great screen, or maybe the brightness is turned way down, like that could affect how visible everything is on the screen. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give some in-game options for tweaking the visibility to your liking. I think that's a nice middle ground between like not having to redraw all the art from my end with like a new palette and also giving players control over the visibility. I haven't played the previous one. Gotcha. Okay. Ooh, am I going to die? I might die. No, I don't want to die. Please don't die. Dang it. It's okay. I have a resurrection. So I'm realizing that I'm not taking a lot of damage from this board. So that's the reason why most of my damage on this board is based on the damage that I take, but I'm not taking any damage. So that kind of sucks, but oh well. All right, let's get some bleed on the board actually. So if I'm doing a damage build, we want to get some bleed in here probably. Let's keep, what does Confuse do? 5 self damage when they execute. So let's do, I kind of want to get the confusion on the scythe. Actually, can I get the scarab ability on the scythe as well? Oh, I don't want the corrupted ability though. Well, let's just figure it out. Ooh, no corruption. All right. 3 bleed. Oh, shoot. I lost my big damage ability. Dang it. I mean, that's fine though, I guess. Deal 1 damage. Goodness. Oh, but I got another bleed on this guy though. And this just deals 1 damage. Okay, that's kind of... Actually, let's do... No, I don't want to do that. All right, let's go to enchant here. Adds the weapon tag, converts damage dealt to armor, increases critical multiplier by 0.5x. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So that's a 2x crit multiplier now. We'll go to upgrade. I kind of want to upgrade my scythe to get more bleed stacks applied. Actually, this bleed should help a lot. Okay, we got a shop coming up. I only have 15 blood though. That's going to give me 4, and then I can sell whatever comes out of the booster. Okay, let's see. Is it not possible to reroll enchantments? It is not, no. I could potentially add that. Ooh, lots of bleed here. Well, let's see what happens. Oh. Yep. Nice. Okay. 12 true damage if there's at least 1 allied fungus item. Let's take this. All right, booster. Honestly, I'm just going to choose this option so I can sell all of these. Okay, and then we'll go to the shop. Let's see what the shop gives me. I don't think any of those things are useful. Unfortunately, none of those things are useful for me. I could take the Skull Wand, increase the minion crit chance. I might do that, actually. Yeah, let's purchase this one. So I should have a 30% crit chance on the Slime and the Skeleton Warrior and the Strange Man, although the Strange Man is not super interesting. If I can add the minion tag to the Scythe as well, that's going to help quite a bit. So we'll see if I can do that. There's an enchant here. Maybe I'll try... Ooh, but this is nice. Wait a minute. Can I... I kind of want to get that projection ability onto something, but it's going to be a little bit risky. Let's just try it. 44% chance to gain a corrupted ability. Ooh, dodge the corruption. Got it. Projects to allied items on the right edge of the board. Excellent. And let's swap this guy around. Yes. Okay, we're in business now. And this still has a project ability too. Okay, all right. Apply 3 armor per owned artifact. Oh, that actually might be good. I don't have enough room. I kind of want to get the enchant. Let's sell this. Can I get to 13? Wait, I didn't even think about this. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Well, sunk cost fallacy, I'm already in it. Reduce cooldown by 0.7 seconds. Converts 50% of damage dealt to bleed. I forgot how the conversion works, actually. Okay. All right. I think this will do what I'm going to have to watch the combat log and see if that does what I think it's going to do. Other palettes would be really cool too. I don't think that man in the background on the tree looks very happy. I've never noticed him before. Oh, yeah. Does C# give you better game mechanics options than GDScript? No. No. The tool that you use to build your game, the language that you use, is just a matter of like the tooling, but you're not limited in terms of like the mechanics that you can have ultimately. Wait, slow down. Okay, whatever. Okay, so let me look at the slime here. Am I gonna die? Oh, right. It's not dealing damage anymore. Right, I forgot. It doesn't do damage additional to the bleed. Well, I guess we'll see if I die. Oh, I think I need more damage. I need more damage. I'm not going to survive this boss fight. There's no way. I'm probably not going to survive this fight. Maybe, though. Oh my gosh. It's going to be real tricky. Deal 3... Oh, but this one... Okay. Hold on a second. Do I still have an empty ability slot somewhere? I do. No, but I don't want to put it on the slime because that's just going to make bleed a problem. Oh no. Let's do this and this. And this? This is... I think I have to do this. This is not good. Oh no, corruption. Oh no, corruption. I think I just lost. I think I just lost. Well, we'll put this here. This guy's going to become paralyzed, but that's all right. Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens. I keep accidentally filling up my stash, forgetting I can do alchemy whenever. Yeah. All right, let's see what happens. This may not work out that great for me, but let's see. Oh, I'm getting kind of close. Okay, I did half of the health. All right, I have no resurrection stones either. Okay. I think I may have actually won. First of all, if that alchemy would have gone good, but maybe, I don't know. I applied 226 bleed though. Yeah, I think I probably could have won that if I was a little bit more careful with my alchemy, but that's all right. Made it to the first boss. The game is a lot more difficult now, which is good because like I feel like when I'm doing my playthroughs that I have to think a lot more carefully almost always. The previous versions of the game were a little bit unsatisfying for me personally to play because it usually got to the point where like it didn't really matter what items I was putting on the board, and that was not a good situation to be in. And so the difficulty increases while they may be a little bit overtuned. I think at the very least it is. It has improved the game in the sense that like I do need to carefully think more, which is the whole point of the game, right? So it's good now. So even if it's a little bit too hard, at least now it's good that I don't feel like I can get away with just throwing stuff on my board, right? Like, it is good that I have to think about like how to optimize my items with alchemy and choose the proper enchants and get the right artifacts. But if the game is a little bit too difficult, and the Patreon playtesters will have to tell me, I can scale it back a little bit. But what I don't want to do is scale it back to the point where I lose that again, right? You know what's funny though is that the game is a little bit harder now, but the game is a little bit harder now, but I actually decreased the size of the enemy boards. So one piece of feedback from the previous playtests was that the enemy boards were too large and it was just hard to see like what was happening, like what their synergies were. So I actually like shrank the enemy board sizes quite substantially, but I increased how smart the boards are in terms of the synergies. And then, of course, that with like the poison, bleed, fire reworks, which makes those all less bursty. The game is actually harder, even though the enemy boards are smaller. So that's good too. I don't want to lose that. I think the enemy boards are in a lot better position now. They're in a lot better spot. But we'll see. Add the souls like GG, yeah. GG. Okay, let me I'm gonna merge this. Merge playtest 5 into master. Okay, I'm gonna kick off a build here. 17.10. So this will go to my GitHub actions that will build and publish the game. Okay. Anyway, I have a meeting that I need to get to in a couple minutes here, but I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Sorry we didn't get a whole lot done. I got to figure out what I'm doing with the controller support, but it was fun to play the game for a bit too and show you. Add dodging. Now you have the Souls-like tag. Yeah. Did I catch the stream before it ended? I'm ending it right now, unfortunately. But so again, as a reminder, Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. It's also available for playtesting if you are a Patreon member. So head on over to the Patreon and subscribe if you want to get access. Again, you know, I feel like I can't say this enough because I don't want somebody to come into the stream and be like, "What? I can't play the game." You can play the game. The game will be playable by everyone in about a week from today. I don't know the exact date, but Patreon members will get exclusive early access to every playtest for a period of time. But then the playtest will always be available to everyone too. So for those that want to play but don't want to support on Patreon for whatever reason, that's totally fine. You'll be able to play the game. And just follow the Discord. You can subscribe to the email list as well to be notified when the playtest is publicly available. All right, thanks everyone. If you're in the United States, I hope you have a great Memorial Day, and I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye for now.